Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are putting on our wilderness photographer hats to explore our planet's 10 most breathtaking bucket list destinations. From pristine, raw ecosystems to ancient cultural marvels, grab your camera gear because we are diving right into the ultimate global itinerary. Okay, let's look at our itinerary for today. We'll start with an overview of our breathtaking bucket list destinations. Then, we venture into raw and untouched nature. Transition into romantic waters and islands, explore historic and cultural marvels, and finally, we'll help you choose your next adventure. Section 1. Breathtaking Bucket List Destinations, an overview of global wonders. You know, mapping out a massive global tour like this really requires understanding the distinct traits of each region. Whether we're tracking seasonal climate shifts, like trying to catch the Galapagos in the dry season, or budgeting out a typical week traversing European glaciers, grouping these spots by their defining traits is exactly how we build the ultimate climate-aware travel strategy.
Section 2. Raw and Untouched Nature, featuring the Galapagos, Iceland, and Patagonia.
People often call the Galapagos Islands a living laboratory, and honestly, it's easy to see why. To keep this fragile environment safe, sustainable, low-impact travel isn't just a suggestion, it's absolutely mandatory. Now, for a typical week-long expedition here, you're looking at budgeting roughly $5,000 to $8,000. If you decide to visit between June and November, which is highly recommended, you are definitely going to want a strong telephoto lens in your bag. To break that down for the novice photographers out there, that simply means a lens that magnifies distant subjects, like a 400mm. It lets you safely capture those incredible marine iguanas and giant tortoises from a respectful distance, especially during those quiet, early morning hours when wildlife activity is just at its absolute peak. Moving over to Iceland, you are looking at capturing some seriously raw elemental beauty. Local park rangers actually advise venturing out way before dawn. Why? Well, it helps you avoid the crowded tourist paths around those massive popular waterfalls. And if you're trying to photograph the shimmering ice caves or those dancing northern lights, listen up. A sturdy carbon fiber tripod and specialized polarizing lens filters are absolutely essential to cut through that harsh glare. Trust me on that one. This is an environment of extreme contrast, so your packing checklist has to include survival-rated weather gear right alongside your camera equipment. Oh, and for a week traversing this rugged terrain, you'll want to budget around $3,000.
Next up is Patagonia, which truly feels like the ultimate remote, unspoiled wilderness at the very end of the world. Now, for any solo travelers out there trekking the towering granite peaks of Chile and Argentina, safety has to be your top priority. That means carrying a satellite messenger that's pre-programmed with local emergency contact procedures and definitely sticking to designated remote camping spots far away from the main tourist infrastructure. Visually, you are going to want to slap your widest angle lens on your camera to truly capture the epic, grand scale of where the Andes violently meet these pristine glaciers. A remote week down here usually costs around $2,000 to $4,000, mostly depending on your outfitter.
So, as the harsh, bright light of those rugged glaciers begins to fade, we are going to follow the shifting golden hour light toward a much softer landscape. We're transitioning our focus from raw, elemental wilderness into romantic coastal escapes. Think trading sharp ice for calm turquoise lagoons and fiery, saturated sunsets.
Section 3. Romantic Waters and Islands, featuring Santorini, Bora Bora, Venice, and the Maldives.
Let's talk about Santorini, Greece. This place is an absolute masterclass in connecting dramatic natural scenery with historic landmarks. You've got these incredible sea cliffs plunging straight down into the Aegean Sea, topped by the beautiful whitewashed villages of Oia. To capture those iconic blue-domed churches, photographers literally flock here during the golden hour, just before the legendary fiery sunsets wash all that historic architecture in deep, rich oranges and reds. A week soaking in this historic island typically costs somewhere around $2,000 to $3,000.
Bora Bora is so often described as a literal slice of heaven on earth. And yeah, luxury overwater bungalows framed by dramatic volcanic peaks definitely make it the absolute pinnacle of island luxury. But reaching French Polynesia requires some seriously significant travel. A week in one of these incredible setups can easily exceed $10,000. Because of that massive journey, eco-conscious travelers are increasingly tracking and offsetting their carbon footprints for these long-haul flights. It's a crucial step to ensure those vibrant coral reefs stay pristine for decades to come.
Then we have the island utopia of the Maldives. We're talking blindingly white sand and palm-fringed atolls, completely surrounded by water so clear it literally looks like glass. For a wilderness photographer, this is hands down the premier destination in the world to immortalize the golden hour. But a quick pro tip, a polarizing filter is an absolute must-have in your kit here. You need it to cut through the intense surface reflections and capture the true, vibrant turquoise of the Indian Ocean. Budgeting around $5,000 to $7,000 for a typical week will ensure you get to experience this fragile utopia respectfully.
Venice, Italy offers us a completely different relationship with the water. Drifting through these spellbinding canals on a gondola requires a real appreciation for local etiquette. Respecting the deep cultural traditions of the Venetian people is actually what helps preserve the city's unique magic. It's just this incredible, romantic blend of centuries-old architecture and serene waterways. A typical week exploring these ancient canals is going to run you about $2,000 to $3,000.
All right, we're now going to shift our focus again. We're moving from the slow, natural evolution of those volcanic peaks and vibrant reefs straight into the meticulous, jaw-dropping magic of human architectural perfection.
Section 4. Historic and Cultural Marvels. Exploring the Taj Mahal, Cappadocia, and Bali.
The Taj Mahal in Agra, India, is widely considered the ultimate symbol of love. But from a photographer's perspective, the true marvel here is catching the gleaming white marble of this breathtaking mausoleum right as the sun rises. The shifting morning light completely transforms the stone, perfectly blending human structural perfection with incredible natural atmospheric conditions. A culturally rich week in this region is quite affordable, costing roughly $1,000 to $1,500. Over in Cappadocia, Turkey, you have these totally otherworldly fairy chimney rock formations rising up from deep valleys. The absolute best months to visit are spring and autumn, mostly because the weather is stable enough for hundreds of brightly colored hot air balloons to take flight right at dawn. For your camera gear, a mid-range zoom lens is perfect here. To avoid getting too technical, that just means a lens that lets you easily adjust your framing from wide to close up without having to physically swap lenses. It's ideal for compressing the distance between the colorful balloons and the jagged, ancient geology down below. A week-long stay in this magical region is also very accessible, often costing well under $1,500.
Known as the Morning of the World, Bali, Indonesia earns its spot on this list through a stunning combination of lush emerald rice terraces and ancient stone temples. What's absolutely fascinating here is the local philosophy of subak. It's a traditional, ecologically sustainable irrigation system, and it is a perfect example of how indigenous cultural traditions work hand-in-hand with wilderness preservation to maintain these spectacular coastal and jungle ecosystems. A week exploring these cascading terraces costs roughly $1,000 to $2,000.
Section 5. Choosing your next adventure. Reflecting on the beauty of our planet. We've seen some really incredible contrasts today, haven't we? From rugged, isolated wilderness to some of the most ancient human triumphs on Earth. Whichever destination you end up choosing, please remember to support local conservation efforts and travel sustainably, so these fragile environments can remain pristine for generations to come. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Will you seek out the dramatic granite peaks of Patagonia, or are you going to chase the golden hour of the Maldives? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep exploring, keep protecting our beautiful planet, and I'll see you next time.